For movies. It is Friday, April 9th. Happy Friday. Amy and Samir here. Samir, how you doing? Happy
I'm so
Friday.
happy it's another Friday. And I am so excited for the double feature we have planned for this weekend. I know one's going to be really depressing, but they're both going to be kind of depressing, but they will be magical nonetheless. But yes, I've been looking forward to the weekend a lot this week. Busy week. Um, so yeah, I'm here. I'm here, and I'm in a good place.
I'm also looking forward to the weekend and one of these films I haven't seen, and the other one I'm looking forward to revisiting it. But today we will be talking about Oscar winners for art direction. We've been doing this double feature every Friday this month. Last Friday we did cinematography, and similar to cinematography, we were going to be doing two, because for many decades in the Oscars, they had two categories for art direction, as well as cinematography and a few other awards for color and then for black and white. So we kept that little tradition going.
Yeah. Hello,
Yeah.
Andres.
Andres, hello, hola.
Happy Friday.
Before we get into that, though, let's just dive right into yesterday's film. All of our genre Thursdays this month are movies about movies. All of them Oscar winners, like everything else this month. And yesterday's was the super famous on every best movie list ever, 8.5.
Well, Luke, your assignment is to finish the rest of this movie tonight before you move it on to the double feature.
Yes.
Because this is essential viewing if you care about cinema, bar none. And it's me and Amy both had the same feeling, like that. I think watching it, like, not that it was, we still love it. It's still an amazing movie. But I think I was even more overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information communicated cinematically in this movie. It was just like, because so much more, you feel so much more of it the older you get, I think, and the more you work on your own projects and handle those same hurdles creatively. So that's kind of, that's how I felt. How did you feel? Because you said it was a lot for you too.
I felt pretty, like, drained from watching this, of just like,
this is what it's like to be in an artist's head.
There's so much going on. But yeah, just as delightful. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I mean, it's one of those movies where it's been so long where I know I had seen it and I had liked it, but there was very little that I actually remembered. And watching it again this time was almost like watching it for the first time. And just everything in it, the costumes and all of the interesting characters, and even the locations. So you talk about art direction.
I know Fellini is just like a madcap stylist. There is so much packed in visually into every frame. The camera movements are always like out of another realm in a way, like nobody sees sees images, I think, or sees the world in exactly the way he does. There's something always like a little bit of the grotesque, the carnivalesque, the avant-garde, the self-reflexive, but it's all heartfelt somehow too. Like, it's very searing, almost like a searing depiction of himself. Like, he's not sparing himself in this movie. Like, this character is self-centered, misogynistic, exploitative. Like the way he treats his mistress is just it. My heart always breaks for his mistress. Like, he puts her in that, she makes up this excuse that she can't stay in the hotel because everyone's staying there. And then you get to the hotel, I'm like, this place is enormous. Like, there's like zero chance that like there's any danger of you being caught on like other floors that these people aren't staying on. But then you realize that hotel is like this maze of all the people who want a piece of him, and he has nothing to give any of them.
People just barging into his room all the time.
Like, it's just like there's no relenting, and he speaks in the cinematic language so efficiently, and he's communicating exactly what he's feeling at every moment, like specifically through the language of film. like in all the things that film is capable of. So you can go into the past and the present and mix them together, and you can have sets melt into each other through the magic of cutting and camera movement. You can have Claudia Cardinal being like this angel who's bringing him life, and then you have like the person who's shitting on your ideas the entire time, the star who wants to know what her role is, the producer who's like trying to make deals, the set decorator who's building this enormous monstrosity that you have no idea what it's really going to do, and you're like, what is this movie that he's making? That question is never really answered, but the answer is the movie that you're watching. So it's so much.
For it being something as it's like a movie about movies, there's pretty much no scene where they're actually like on a active film set in production, where like everything's already done and now we're actually filming and everyone's like cameras are rolling. We never even get to that point. It's just like all of the pre-production nightmare.
Yeah, it's like this is the nightmare that happens before the movie can even start being made. And it feels like it's like both it's slightly sinister and it's like comic at the same time. It captures everything that you feel when like you're trying to write something and it's just not coming out. It's in there somewhere, and then you feel like you've lost it. Like you go through this whole journey with him, and it's like it must be exhausting to be Federico Fellini inside, or to be in his head, because like any great director, I suppose. But this movie is like you mentioned yesterday, like it's inspired so many different people. And when you go through the extra features on the Criterion streaming channel, there's so many filmmakers all like, oh, this is why I love this movie. Every time I watch it, and everybody has their own relationship with it. It's like a part of your DNA as like a film or cinephile or a filmmaker or a creative person somehow. And of course, one of my other all-time favorite movies, All That Jazz, is basically the real musical that's based on 8.5. In a way, better than 9 was. But like that movie, I don't think could ever have been what it was if this movie had never been made. So like I owe so much to this movie having been made and being as amazing as it is. There's just like, what was something that struck out to you a little bit more as someone who's made more films and really created and written for themselves? What stood out for you? I'd love to hear some of those details. That
I guess just the pressure of, especially just like, he being the director in this, and having like everyone turn to you, and sometimes like you don't have answers to their questions, even though it's an important question. It's like, I don't know what your part is. I don't know which direction I want to go with this. Yeah, and that's definitely something that I have encountered many times on my small scale projects. Yeah, that was the biggest takeaway for me, I think, this time.
Did any dream imagery from the movie kind of spark something in your brain? Like the opening of this movie always kills me, because it's like he's like reborn from this like car almost in a way, but at the same time it's like it's a perfect depiction of where he feels like he's suffocating. He doesn't know how to get out of it. He has to like crawl out, and then when he feels like he's free and he's liberated, floating with his arms out like he's Jesus from the previous movie, that from La Dolce Vita, because it's a similar thing there. But then there's that moment where like the agent and like a producer or something, or they're pulling on him like he's a kite floating. And it's like, the creative mindset. It's like that's the creative mindset. It just wants to fly, and it wants not to be encumbered by any of these other influences that are part of making movies. And there's the reality of movie making business pulling him back down to earth, literally. So it's like an artist trying to be in the clouds, who, all these other forces outside of the making of art are consistently trying to pull you out of those clouds. So that's like the dilemma that every artist kind of faces when you want to make a movie and you have to get money for that movie. You have to deal with the stars and the press agents and the journalists and all the people with their opinions of your work, and it's just so much pressure. You feel it watching this movie. Like that's why it's overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, I feel exhausted after watching this. Yeah, the opening was amazing. Love it. So symbolic, you know.
So symbolic. Oh
The
my god.
imagery
Also,
is intense.
if there are any like super horror fans out there who also love Italian director Mario Bava's films, the actress from Black Sunday, I think her name is
Mm.
Barbara Steele. She's his friend. I think Mario was his name. The friend that he meets at the spa, and he's like, "Oh my god, you're here too!" And he's like, "Oh, this is my girlfriend," and she's like this young woman
the
who's
eyeliner.
yes, the heavy eyeliner, the strange lip line, and the weird bone structure. And
Mhm.
she's like very famous in horror films, but she's got her, she really became more famous in Italian horror films by Mario Bava. So it's interesting to see, like, oh, like that to me tells me that Federico Fellini liked Black Sunday because he cast the actress who plays the lead in this really weird, fantastic role. I love her in this movie. She's just another like some creature who came from outer space into this universe, but you sort of believe that she's probably like there's somebody like that in Fellini's life. Like as crazy as all these things seem, you're like, for some reason, I'm like, I bet he's hung out with those weird old Italian ladies who smoked the entire time.
Yeah, everyone in this movie is such a character, but it seems real. It's like it's all accepted in this world, even though in any other situations, like this person's a lot going on, but they're all a lot in this movie. But if you did see 8.5, please check it out. Again, it's on HBO Max right now, and then of course it's on Criterion, where you could see all the other filmmakers talk about how influential this movie is. And I saw at least, I'm not sure what the HBO, might be the same print of it, but the one they have on Criterion was like a recently restored version of it. It said it was like restored in 2019. The soundtrack was restored in 2020. So very recent.
Looks like perfection.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Like very high quality, because it's like the gleaming whites and of this movie. There's so much brightness in it. At the same time, like he really goes for the extremes of the bright and the dark. So there's a lot of gleaming whites and really, really rich blacks in it that come through. It's been nice. Some of these movies that we've been watching, like we watched Picture of Dorian Gray, like it's a really beautiful transfer that we watched of that captured everything. This new restoration of this movie, it looks like it was made yesterday. I mean, it looks amazing. So kudos to the restoration team at Criterion for their work on this movie. They have preserved it very well.
They did indeed, but please check it out. Again, it's just required film viewing for any person who says they're interested in film. Yeah. All right, let's go move on to name that movie. Okay, here we go. This is the first one. I have seen this, but was not familiar with it enough to get it from these pictures. So let's see how you guys do here. And hello, Melissa, if you're still watching.
Hello. Oh, I know what this is.
It's a very famous film from the period.
The house looked familiar, and then that's the stair shot.
So again, if you know what this is, go ahead and type it into the comments.
What are you honking the horn for? Sorry, I had to.
No, it's not.
You guys are close, but not there. Well, Beetlejuice is not close, unfortunately. I'm sorry, Luke, but
no, Beetlejuice.
Sunset Boulevard is a little closer. It's a little earlier than Sunset Boulevard. That's a honey of an ankle bracelet you've got there. Come on. I don't want to give it away. One more guess, Walter. I think you might get it.
Yeah, we have high hopes, Walter.
Film noir.
Yeah, it's definitely a noir.
Billy Wilder directed, but not Sunset Boulevard.
No, it's not all about you.
No, film noir.
Just go ahead and say it.
It's Double Indemnity.
Double Indemnity. Yes.
I just recognized like the shot of her, like, because I remember the line about the anklet. I remember the design of the house because I always loved that house.
Yeah, it's
Love
gorgeous.
that house.
All right. One more.
Next one.
More. Now, this one I did know, but this is another older black and white film. Here we go.
Well. Walter.
It's all right. You were close, Walter.
You had the director right and everything. This one, I'm not placing right. Oh, well.
Yeah, you'll get it from that one.
Well, now.
I'd say if you didn't get it on with the Ferris wheel. Any guesses?
You're just gonna have to tell them, Amy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Third Man.
Oh,
With Orson Welles.
I know that was maybe that one was a little tougher. It has been probably been a while since
I knew that one.
I know you did.
It's a classic. Orson Welles classic. Joseph Cotton is in that one too, right?
He is. That one was directed by Carol Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And starring Orson Welles. Also very, beautifully filmed movie.
Yes. Thank you all for playing. Better luck next time. No prizes will be given out today or ever. I think Citizen Kane is in this book. But as you'll know. I think it's like
I was gonna say, like, there's really no, and there's any one of those images would give Citizen Kane away, like right away. Like you would just, you like see like Xanadu, like
mm-hmm.
I'm done. You see the shot of the fence in the house, like
a little
the globe, like
a sled.
Like every single thing. You're like, shows how brilliantly all those things were used in that movie. But today,
yes, let's move on. So today is I have to message someone. Hang
on. Well, we are celebrating the art of art direction, which is an art director basically reports to a production designer. It's really like planning the whole look of the film is on this person. And, lots of times they have storyboards to go off of, and they work with the director and the production designer to really sort of fine tune, what they're going for with each scene and each set. But they really are the ones, they design the sets. They oversee the production of those sets. They work with the other artists who produce elements of them. But they're really kind of responsible for the overall look of a film production. And so there's a very good reason why they are given an Academy Award for their work, because as you will see from the examples that we have chosen for us to watch this weekend, especially our color choice, that is just like, also last week's one of our cinematography films from last week was nominated for production. It's kind of insane to me that it did not win production design. I can't remember if one of the films we have today, if they came out the same year and they swapped those awards, because
I think they did. I think
it's weird because our movies for today are so this is Great Expectations, directed by David Lean, based on the Charles Dickens novel. And this film is ironically known primarily for its cinematography. It's very, very like really dark, shadowy. It's really like stunningly photographed. and as was Picture of Dorian Gray. I still think Picture of Dorian Gray is a technical accomplishment almost unsurpassed in black and white photography, but it's crazy.
It did win Best Cinematography. I think we were saying, I think our confusion was we were saying that Dorian Gray should have also have won for art direction.
Also have won.
Yeah, so with that, I don't think this was the same year. But Great Expectations. This is the 1946 version. A humble orphan suddenly becomes a gentleman with the help of an unknown benefactor. This won 2 Oscars for Best Cinematography, black and white, and Best Art Direction, Set Direction, black and white. It was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. The Oscar for Best Art Direction went to 2 men, John Bryan and Wilfred Shingleton. John Bryan, this was his only Oscar win, but he had also been nominated for Beckett in 1964 and for Caesar and Cleopatra in 1945, both of those being color films. So he won this for black and white. And Wilfred Shingleton, I think this was his only win and only nomination, but he also worked on The African Queen, The Blue Max, and The Fearless Vampire Killers, among some of his films.
If only we could talk about that. Oh, The Heiress. Walter, you don't know how badly we wanted to put The Heiress in, and we didn't realize it was too late. It was made available too late for us to put it in the calendar anywhere. Yeah. Brilliant movie. We all agree. Please fantastic. Add that to your weekend viewing because it's astonishing also. Like, such a great movie. But this movie also, like, obviously Charles Dickens books, I feel like Charles Dickens, like, he wasn't exactly writing with the idea of movies in mind, but his books make fantastic movies. It's like they are tailor-made to be adapted to the screen. They give you so much visually, and they're so rich with character that you'd be hard-pressed to make the characters uninteresting in a film version of his books. You'd have to be a really bad filmmaker and writer to ruin one of these stories on screen. But when you get someone who's a really master filmmaker, like David Lean, before he got to his epic period, was doing amazing things like this. And it's like, it captures all the darkness of the story as well as the light. I don't think you've seen it before, Amy. Am I correct?
I have not. And for those who aren't super familiar with David Lean, some of the other big things he's known for are Bridge on the River Kwai, Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, just all these Oscar-winning films.
Epic films.
Yes.
But this is not an epic length movie. There's no CinemaScope, no color photography, but it is still a stunning accomplishment. There's really, I think this is there's some really brilliant monologues in here, very haunting performances. I think they do a great job with this movie. Yeah, they really get this book right.
I'm not super familiar with the story. I know I've seen one other, I think I saw The Great Expectations from the 90s, whichever one has Gwyneth Paltrow in it. I have seen that. So
that one that's directed by Alfonso Cuarón.
Right. Yeah, so I remember enjoying that one, but I am really curious to see what they do with this, especially in black and white. And I know there are some fun characters in this as well. Yes.
Miss Havisham, particularly. Ironically, that someone would have mentioned Sunset Boulevard earlier, because I remember that line from Sunset Boulevard where he's like, it's like that old Miss Havisham after the world had given her the go-by or something. But she has some like amazing, stunning moments in this story. What's the line? Sharper teeth than the teeth. Or she was talking about something in a picture, and she's like, mice have gnawed at it, and sharper teeth than the teeth of mice have gnawed at me. And I'm just like, oh, like the line and the way she says it. There's like a bunch of moments like that in this movie. It's great. Since I haven't seen it for years, I remember the photography specifically, and I don't remember paying attention to the art direction. So it'll be really fun to go back and sort of have an eye trained on that aspect of the film when we rewatch it. it's definitely still going to be. I just remember it being a great movie, being very powerful. But yeah, it's like most people know David Lean from these widescreen epics. And so it's always kind of shocking to people when they're like, this is the same guy who did Lawrence of Arabia? Like this like 4:3 black and white movie. Like this is him too. But you know, visually it's a great piece of work. So you'll recognize it as the work of a great director when you start watching.
Yes, super
Alec
excited.
Guinness, like this is gonna be like I think Andres said it earlier. He's like, this is gonna be a great double feature. Not joking. It really will be.
John Mills, Tony Wager, Valerie Hobson, Gene Simmons, big cast in this. So this is Great Expectations. This is also on HBO Max and the Criterion collection, or Criterion app. So whichever one you have, go ahead and check it out. I don't remember if this had any other special features on Criterion. Maybe Samir could look that up.
I'm gonna check it. I don't remember if it does though.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The second of our double feature. Did you use Wister?
I did. Great Expectations. I don't see. Well, maybe. Oh no, it's part of a Saturday matinee pairing, so it doesn't have. It only has one extra feature, and it's actually director Julie Taymor talking about the film, which is 5.5 minutes of her talking about a movie. I feel like anybody should watch that because she's also one of the greatest theatrical directors in terms of like live theater like that has ever been. So I always listen to her when she speaks. So watch that after you watch the movie.
Our second choice is The Red Shoes from 1948. This, of course, winning for color. A young ballet dancer is torn between the man she loves and her pursuit to become a prima ballerina. This is the one that I have seen with the two. This was also a winner of 2 Oscars. This one, of course, for Best Art Direction, Set Direction. This also won Best Original Score, was nominated for Best Picture, Best Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. The Art Direction Awards went to Hein Heckroth and Arthur Lawson. Hein Heckroth is also known for The Tales of Hoffman, Torn Curtain, Hitchcock film from the 60s, and costume designing for A Matter of Life and Death. And Arthur Lawson also did the art direction for Peeping Tom.
Yes, they worked with the Archers, as they were called, the Powell and Pressburger like production company. Basically, they used these guys for a lot of their movies on and off. They are equally responsible for the stunning visual masterpieces that these films are. This one is like almost unsurpassed. I feel like we were just watching 8.5. I feel like this had to have been one of Fellini's favorite movies. I see so much inspiration to the extremity of style that you get from Federico Fellini later in this movie, like just mind blowing. Like I've never seen anything like this. I wouldn't even know how to begin to create this movie visually as an art director. There is so much that went into this movie it's like they never dropped the ball. You feel like at some point, like they've got to make a mistake somewhere. They got to do something that doesn't work. They never miss in this entire movie. It just has an extra something to every element visually in this movie. Every set, every room, every costume. I can't even say enough words. It's like, it makes you speechless. Like when you watch it, it never fails to impress anybody I've shown it to, no matter the age group, whatever generation they're a part of. Like everybody watches this movie and they're just awestruck that anybody could have made a movie that looked like this.
This is a movie that I don't think this movie has ever necessarily lost popularity amongst film buffs, but certainly became a little kind of back on people's radar when Black Swan came out, and it was compared to this movie a lot of like, here's the other psychotic ballerina movie.
Well, except the ballerina wasn't psychotic in this movie. It's the impresario, the coach, who's the psychotic one. But Black Swan does quote a specific camera movement from this movie. It's the first time Lermontov goes to see Victoria dance at that little theater. I forgot which role she's dancing. I think she is doing Swan Lake, actually. And there's this moment where she's doing turns, and the camera becomes her, and it's spinning, focusing, sees his face, spins, focuses, spins, focuses, to replicate the idea that this is the dancer doing their pirouettes. And they, I don't think it was a copy. I think it was a specific reference, like this. The language of dance on film is a part of the language of Black Swan. And this movie, I think it's one of those beloved movies that like all ballet dancers, every dancer loves this movie because it's like, oh, that they actually were glorified on screen. It's about dancers. It's about dancing. But it's really almost about how much you sacrifice for your art. And if you are an artist, can you live without being able to create? Like if you're forced to live a life without being able to do what you are meant to do, like, is that a life or not? It comes down pretty hard on one side in that argument, I will say. So the passionate artists of the world also love this movie because it's sort of, it mirrors the extremity of their own passion in a way. And it feels like death to be starved of the opportunity to do what you're best at when you're an artist. And this movie is kind of about that. Of course, it's based on a disturbing Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, which gives you a lot of mileage in the art direction department, of course.
Yeah, I think when we were going through all of the Oscar winners for color films, this was just no contest when we got to this. I was like, yep, nope. We don't even have to look at the other ones. We're doing.
Yeah, it was that easy a choice.
I'm really, really excited to revisit this. Yeah, it's also just, it's been a while since I've seen this. And to see Moira Shearer in this.
Oh yeah, before she became one of the murder victims in Peeping Tom. Apparently, there was some consternation, some of the drama in the story of like, the dancer, like, you're playing the music too fast, you're doing this, it's making it hard for me to do what I do. There was a little bit of that tension between her and the director, between her and Michael Powell as well. But I think this movie really it's another one that really sort of journeys into the imagination. And like, this is the crazy stuff that comes out of it kind of movie as well. I love Powell and Pressburger. They're like one of those, that filmmaking duo that like pretty much never did any wrong in their careers as a team. Like every one of their movies is either a masterpiece or a near masterpiece. You can never go wrong watching it. And Criterion Collection loves them. So there's quite a few Archers productions released on Criterion, and thank goodness for that. Like another one that we were thinking, oh, what about Black Narcissus? This is the movie that was made after this. I think that actually won for cinematography. You watch this movie, you're like, how did this not win? It didn't even get nominated for cinematography, I think.
I don't think it did, no.
For color, which is, to us, was like a crime as well, because if it had won for that, yeah, that's insane. It's insane that it wasn't, because when you watch this movie, if you haven't, is anyone in the comments, I'd love to hear, has anybody not seen this? Who has not seen this movie?
This movie, just like Great Expectations, is also available on HBO Max and Criterion. I believe there are a lot more special feature options for this one on Criterion. So certainly worth watching on there. Yeah, I'm so excited to watch this and fall in love with it all over again. It is Friday. It is Patreon Appreciation Day. Samir, would you do the honors?
Aw, well, we have to thank our screenwriters, officially designated screenwriters, Aunt Julia. Thank you for your continued contributions. And my bestie, Crystal Mayer from the theater, who is not with us in today's show, but but she's always here in my heart. Also, Walter, who is an unofficial screenwriter tier member, who's been providing amazing choices for our calendar every month. And then we have, of course, Andres, who is also, even though he's listed as production assistant, also kind of unofficial screen. We are, we're doing well with our screenwriting department at the book club. So thank you, everybody. And our other production assistants, Nicole Flax Tatlick and Donna Robinson. And of course, I think as of last week, a new day player, Cinna the Poet.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for contributing and joining. I hope if you've been watching some of these episodes, whenever you do that, you've been enjoying them as well, as at least as much as we have had. I hope you're having at least as much fun as we've had making these episodes and planning these calendars. But I am so excited for our double feature this weekend, and cannot wait to get into it.
Thank you to all of our Patreons. It really helps us a lot. You're a small but mighty group, and many of you have been on this list for a few months now, several months, in fact, and we really, really appreciate that you like us enough to give us money. You know, support what you love. You guys love us, and it helps.
It really does help.
It does. On Monday, we are back for Man Crush Monday. Something a little bit different. We're not talking about an actor. We are going to be talking about the world famous, why does he only have like 2 Oscars, cinematographer Roger Deakins. He is getting his own day. I don't know if he's still watching us, but Andres might be joining us. He joined us before, but this was something that he had specifically, he picked this movie as his Patreon pick, and I think he's going to be joining us on Monday to discuss all things Roger Deakins, specifically, why can't I talk right now? Specifically, there we go. It's like, specifically focusing on his first win after like the gajillion nominations, Blade Runner 2049. So please join us for that after watching The Red Shoes and Great Expectations. Again, both of these are available on HBO Max and the Criterion app. Thank you so much for watching today. Keep the party going on our Instagram. Check out our merchandise on Redbubble. You can get a coffee mug or a sweatshirt or T-shirt, whatever you want, a pin, a sticker. You could spend as little or as much money as you want with the range of products you can get.
This little guy.
Yeah, little pin. Yeah, there you go. That's on Redbubble. Just go on there and search for Book Club for Movies or for my name, and you will find it. Thank you guys for watching today. Have a wonderful, safe weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.